Men over 50, the 5 best stretches for harder erections. Here's what nobody tells you after 50. Your body isn't falling apart. It's just been sitting down for 30 years. Circulation, pelvic strength, hip mobility, none of these vanish with age. They atrophy from disuse. And disuse is reversible. Forget 2-hour gym sessions. Skip the supplement stack. Skip the fad cleanses promising overnight transformation. What you need is 5 specific movements practiced consistently, targeting the exact systems responsible for vascular health, erectile function, and the kind of whole body resilience that keeps you self-sufficient, not only intimately, but on the golf course, on the stairs, everywhere in between. Notice something here. None of these 5 movements require a gym membership, a trainer, or a single dollar spent. That matters because the men who actually stick with a routine past 50 are rarely the ones chasing complexity. They're the ones who found something simple enough to repeat without dreading it. There's also a broader lesson buried inside this list. Every movement you're about to learn addresses more than one system at once. That's deliberate. Bodies don't operate in isolated compartments, and neither should your approach to maintaining one. This isn't about appearing youthful. It's about remaining capable, remaining self-reliant, remaining the version of yourself who doesn't ask for help climbing out of a low chair. Point 1, pelvic floor activation, Kegels. Most men assume Kegels belong to women. That myth deserves retirement right now. Your pelvic floor forms a muscular hammock supporting bladder control, core stability, and, crucially, perfusion to erectile tissue. When that hammock weakens, which happens naturally with age and prolonged sitting, everything downstream suffers. How to do it? Contract the muscles you'd engage to interrupt urination midstream. Hold 5 seconds. Release for 5. 3 sets of 10, once daily. No equipment required. 90 seconds total. The long-term benefit? Studies examining pelvic floor training have shown meaningful improvement in erectile response, particularly alongside broader cardiovascular gains. But the payoff extends further. A resilient pelvic floor also means steadier bladder control decades from now, a quiet dignity issue few men discuss, yet nearly everyone fears. Consider this an upgrade toward continence, toward confidence, toward avoiding dependency in your 70s. That's not superficial, that's autonomy. Minimal input, compounding reward. That's the entire Primespan philosophy distilled into one movement. And here's the part rarely mentioned. You can practice this anywhere. Waiting at a red light, sitting through a meeting, standing in line at the pharmacy. Nobody around you will notice, yet you'll be quietly rebuilding a muscle group most men neglect until it's causing problems they can no longer ignore. Point 2, hip flexor stretch. Sitting quietly sabotages perfusion to the pelvis. Every hour spent in a chair shortens your hip flexors, and that tightness compresses vessels and nerves threading through the groin, the very pathways responsible for erectile response. How to do it? Kneel on one knee, resembling a lunge. Push your hips forward gently until you sense a stretch along the front of the kneeling side hip. Hold 30 seconds. Switch sides. Repeat morning and evening. The long-term benefit: loosening tight flexors accomplishes 2 things simultaneously. First, it enhances perfusion to the groin, directly relevant to performance. Second, and equally important, it safeguards your gait as decades pass. Rigid hip flexors rank among the leading contributors to the shuffling, forward-leaning posture common in older men who've lost range of motion. Maintain this habit, and you're not merely supporting vascular health today, you're protecting the stride that lets you walk your dog, chase a grandchild, or carry groceries at 75 without a second thought. This exemplifies efficiency of effort, 60 seconds per side, 2 systems strengthened. Think about how much time you've logged behind a steering wheel, hunched over a laptop, or sunk into a recliner over the past 3 decades. Nobody warned you that posture would eventually tax something as personal as blood flow to the pelvis. Now you know, and now you have a 60-second countermeasure. Point 3, cat-cow spinal flow. Your spine functions as more than a stack of bones. It's a communication corridor linking brain and organ systems throughout your body, including nerves governing erectile signaling. A stiff, immobile back restricts that transmission. How to do it? On hands and knees, arch downward, dropping your belly toward the floor while inhaling. That's cow. Then round upward toward the ceiling while exhaling. That's cat. Flow between positions for 8 to 10 unhurried breaths. The long-term benefit: this movement addresses something most men overlook entirely. It sharpens communication between brain and lower body. Nerves triggering arousal originate near the lumbar spine, and spinal flexibility directly influences signal transmission. There's a secondary, less obvious reward too. Spinal mobility practice correlates with improved balance and reduced fall risk among older adults, plus better cerebral perfusion, supporting the kind of clear, alert cognition worth preserving. A supple spine isn't solely about intimacy. It concerns staying sharp, staying steady, staying upright. 5 minutes every morning. That's the entire commitment. Pair it with your coffee routine, and within weeks, it stops feeling like exercise altogether. It simply becomes part of how your day starts, the same way brushing your teeth became automatic decades ago. Point 4. Glute bridge. Your glutes represent the largest, most powerful muscle group in your physique, directly linked to pelvic stability and groin perfusion. Weak glutes, nearly universal among desk-bound men past 50, mean compromised pelvic support and diminished circulation precisely where it's needed. How to do it? Lie on your back, knees bent, feet planted flat. Squeeze your glutes and raise hips until your torso forms a straight diagonal from shoulders to knees. Hold 2 seconds at the peak. Lower gradually, 3 sets of 12. The long-term benefit, powerful glutes stabilize the pelvis, supporting healthy perfusion to erectile tissue while reducing lumbar strain, a top reason men quietly abandon exercise altogether. Zoom out though. Glute strength ranks among the strongest predictors of functional autonomy in later years. It's what allows rising from a chair without leaning on your arms. It's what lets you climb stairs without white-knuckling the railing. This single movement upgrades your entire lower body while simultaneously supporting the exact perfusion you came here for. Consider it the multiplier move. One exercise, several systems, all advancing together. If you only adopt a single habit from this entire video, this one deserves strong consideration. It's low impact enough for stiff joints, gentle enough for beginners, yet demanding enough to matter within a few weeks of steady practice. Point 5. Diaphragmatic breathing with deep squat hold. This is the movement almost nobody practices, and it might outweigh the previous 4 combined. Shallow chest breathing, which most men default to under pressure, keeps the nervous system locked in a low-grade alarm state. That state constricts vessels throughout the body, pelvis included. Optimal perfusion cannot occur while your physiology believes it's under threat. How to do it? Lower into a deep squat. As far as comfort allows, gripping a door frame or countertop for balance if necessary. Breathe slowly through your nose, expanding your abdomen rather than your chest. 10 unhurried breaths, ideally before bed. The long-term benefit: this practice soothes the nervous system, shifts physiology out of alarm mode, and opens circulation throughout the body. A genuine physiological prerequisite for healthy erectile response. Ripple effects extend further still. Controlled, deliberate breathing correlates with lower blood pressure, improved sleep quality, and reduced cognitive decline over time, since a calmer nervous system operates more efficiently. And the deep squat position itself doubles as one of the finest tests and trainers of ankle, knee, and hip mobility available. If comfortably settling into a deep squat proves difficult right now, that's valuable feedback about your movement trajectory. 10 minutes of daily practice, and you're not just supporting perfusion, you're future-proofing one of the most functionally critical patterns your body possesses. Cultures where elders squat comfortably into their 80s and 90s aren't the product of luck or genetics alone. It's a pattern maintained through decades of practice, not abandoned the moment life gets busy or a desk job takes over. Reclaim it now while your joints still cooperate and you preserve options your peers may quietly lose. Before wrapping up, a quick word on expectations. This isn't a magic switch. Nobody transforms overnight, and anyone promising instant results is selling something, not teaching something. What you're building here is a foundation. Gradual, cumulative, the kind of progress that sneaks up on you until one day you notice you're moving differently, feeling steadier, recovering faster. That's how genuine change tends to arrive, quietly, then all at once. Let's synthesize. 5 movements, roughly 15 minutes daily, total. Pelvic activation for direct perfusion and lasting continence. Hip flexor stretches for circulation and gait. Cat-cow for spinal communication and balance. Glute bridges for pelvic support and functional strength. Diaphragmatic breathing paired with a deep squat hold for nervous system regulation and comprehensive mobility. None of this demands a gym membership. None requires eliminating foods you enjoy. It demands 15 minutes and consistency, the only currency that genuinely matters past 50. Stack all 5 together, and roughly a quarter hour, and you're addressing circulation, nerve signaling, structural strength, and nervous system regulation simultaneously. Here's the reality nobody markets toward you. Vitality after 50 isn't about recapturing what existed at 30. It concerns preserving what remains now, so you're not bargaining with your own physiology for basic autonomy 2 decades hence. Practice these 5 movements consistently, and you're not merely supporting stronger perfusion. You're investing in the mobility, balance, and capability that keep you self-directed, on your own terms, for years ahead. You've spent decades earning what you have, your career, your family, your standing. Don't let neglected mobility quietly erode it while you aren't paying attention. 15 minutes, 5 movements, 1 decision made today. If this proved useful, hit subscribe. Primespan delivers no-nonsense, evidence-informed content weekly for men determined to stay sharp, stay strong, and remain in command of their own bodies. 5 movements, 15 minutes, 0 equipment. Pelvic activation for direct blood flow and continence, hip flexor stretches for circulation and gait, cat-cow for spinal signaling and balance, glute bridges for pelvic support and functional strength, and diaphragmatic breathing with a deep squat for nervous system regulation and mobility. None of it requires a gym membership or a restrictive diet, just consistency applied to the right 5 targets. That's the whole approach. Small, deliberate effort, compounding into real capability over time. That's Primespan after 50. If this gave you something useful, subscribe and turn on the notification bell for another research-backed video on longevity science, vitality for healthy living. I'll see you there.